What a great pleasure it is for me to be here. My name's Erwin James. I'm a Guardian columnist, Guardian journalist. I was first supposed to talk to Martina at the Hay Festival last May, but for various reasons it never happened. But I remember at the time being quite daunted and quite a little bit scared meeting this lady for the first time, because I became a writer in prison and came across Martina's books while I was in prison and read about the people that I was living with, people like myself, people that I was living on the landings with. I didn't really imagine that one day I'd get the chance to meet her, talk to her, and have a conversation with her. So it's a great pleasure for me to be here, the undisputed queen of British crime writing.
My mum and dad died when I was in my early 20s. My dad died and my mum died 8 months one day later. It was terrible, you know. And my mum was well in her 40s when I was born. So that was 20 years ago now, if anyone asked in the paper. It was actually nearly 30 years. But it's, my mum, we went for a bag, and I'd written a poem years and years before called The Bus, because when you looked out of her bedroom window, there was like an old Protestant church. And I can still remember when I bought my first David Bowie album, my mum coming in the bedroom and going, "The vicar said, could you turn David Bowie down? They're trying to do the raffle." I didn't even know they had a fate. I was just listening to David Bowie. But there was an old bus, sort of, you know, in the grounds at his church, and I could see it from my bedroom window, and I wrote this poem. My mum had kept it. So I might, you know, I mean, I was really little when I'd done that. So I think I always loved writing. I always loved anything to do with writing. I loved anything to do with reading and film. I love film as well.
So you wrote your first book?
When I was about 14.
Oh, really?
It was about a girl at a convent. But really, she worked for the CIA and everything. And she'd be in assembly, and then all of a sudden the CIA or, you know, the FBI and all that would turn up, you know, an MI5 and say, "You've got to go," you know, and then she went out and sort of done a shoot up and could cry. So I think I always had quite strong women in the book. And she'd sort of do like backflips down the thing and, you know.
Yeah. Interesting thing, but I came across your books in prison, and they were very popular, probably the most borrowed books from the prison library.
And the most stolen books as well from shops, and that's
But one of your most powerful books for me was Lady Killer, a really graphic, difficult book in many ways.
I was on Romford Market. I do Romford Market every year, and this old dear come up. She said, "I've just divorced my husband after 40 years, and his name was George." She went, and he was always in the shed. I said, I said, "I hope you didn't divorce him because of that." I said, "Because it wasn't true." Yeah, but it's the way she said it. And he was always in the shed, as if to say, "I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
But the follow-up, Broken, was also a difficult book. And you know, the prison I was in, they banned that book from the prison library.
Yeah,
because the issues
banned from a few. You know, the VPU unit.
Yeah.
One of my books can be seen there.
No, but
None of them are there.
Well,
and I'm proud of that fact. I wouldn't want them reading it anyway.
Well, see, in the prison that I was in, it was a sort of mainstream jail, but there were people in there who had, because often people are integrated, people who are in for sex offences or paedophilia.
Well, it's now they call it a vulnerable prisoners unit. You need a Muppet wing.
Yeah,
but
they integrate them into the main prison now. They have their own unit, and so what they did in this jail, because there were people in there who'd been abused by the people, and people who were abusers. That's why they banned that. But they banned that, you know. Yeah. And were you aware of? Because you get welcomed in prisons, don't you? You know.
When I was first doing Wandsworth, they've got a VPU unit there, and I was ringing around trying to get different people to come. And once who it is, but she's quite famous, and she said, "Oh, I've been there, darling." I went to see the VPU, and I said, "Well, it's not the vulnerable prisoners." I said, "It's not the rapists or the sex offenders. This is life." She said, "Oh, I don't want to meet people like that." There, and I thought, God, I'm not glad I never wrote into your problem page. But it's, you know, it does. It's amazing because a lot of people, you know, it was never such an odd thing. I mean, one day Billy Murray, you know Billy Murray who does the bill and all that, he'd come to do a talk and they wouldn't let him in because he didn't have his passport. But honest, this is true. And as we're standing there trying to explain to this man on the gate, hello, all the POs were coming back from lunch going, "What you in here for? Impersonating a policeman?" I said, "Well, if they recognise him, why can't you?" It's completely surreal. But I used to sort of sometimes get in different prisons, get people in to come and talk. One of the saddest prisons I've ever been in, I think, is probably Board Hall, you know, the girls' prison.
Oh, yeah.
Holloway as well.
Always a difficult place, isn't it?
Oh, Holloway break your heart. And because I always think it, like, bird's different for a woman. When a man goes away, he leaves his children with the person he trusts most in the world, their mum. But when women go away, it's a completely different ballgame. And oftentimes the men don't want children. And I was at Broad Hall once, and there was a lovely girl there, and she was really trying to sort herself out. And her mum wouldn't have her little daughter. And she was talking at least 7 before she was, was going to get out. And she said, Tina, I grew up in care all my life, and now my daughter will. I said, but when you look at it from, your mum, I said, your mum hasn't really done you any favours, has she? So maybe, I was trying to sort of find something good out there. But I knew that the worst part of it for her was that her mum had rejected her, but how could she reject her grandchild? And I think with my books, because I often write from the point of view of the woman, it's the woman's point of view. It's what happens to you when your husband does get 12 years. It's what happens to you if, you're living in that world. And I think that was always the secret of the books, because it was not from the male perspective, it was from the female perspective.